Brooks Austin, he's the film guy. You can follow him on social media at Brooks Austin BA. Catch his YouTube channel, does tremendous work there. Friend of the show, he is back with us. Welcome in, Brooks. Hope you're doing well, my man.
I'm doing well. I always know it's like the start of football season when my phone starts ringing for interviews like this one. I'm pumped to be back on here. More excited for football season in general. I feel like I walked through the desert the last 3 or 4 months talking about, coaches playing golf and stuff.
You had a comment on it, and it was one reason we were having you on anyway, because you're close to Georgia. We want to talk Georgia, who's our preview team today. We were having you on anyway, but there were a lot of members of the audience like, y'all need to get Brooks on to talk about this because you had some comments about Hugh Freeze and Auburn's failure to get and keep commitments right now. I won't steal it from you. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, all joking aside about golf. First of all, if you can play 15 rounds in a month, that's relatively impressive. You got a lot of time on your hands, whatever line of work you're in. So there's that. But with regards to Auburn's recruiting, I think it's pretty simple. Auburn was like really one of the more aggressive buyers in the last 2 recruiting cycles. It's why they had a tremendous amount of success on the trail in those previous 2 classes. You look up now, they have 7 commits. They're hanging out wherever they're hanging out in the ranking system, whichever ranking systems you prefer. I think it's pretty clear why. I think their boosters are kind of waiting to see, are you going to go actually win some football games before I throw some more money at another class? Now, you can either choose to believe that is what's going on, or you can choose to believe what Hugh and the athletic director just told us, which is, oh, we're playing by the rules. Everybody else is false promises right now. We'll find out in August. I think it's more likely that we'll find out how good of a football team they are this year. Can they win football games? If they can, they'll go win on the recruiting trail. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Brooks, our 40-40 team today, number 5, the Georgia Bulldogs. My reservation, I like the schedule. I even like the skill this year. The offensive line replacing 4 starters. How big of a deal is that?
I mean, they're going to do it at a higher rate than most college football programs are nowadays because they have the bodies. Now, they don't have any of the experience, but they have multitudes of bodies to throw at this. And I think even with, injuries, which are bound to happen in college football, you're going to have 7 or 8 playable bodies at that position. Are they going to be the Georgia of old, where we look up every single year and it seems they're pumping out a first-round draft pick at an offensive line position? I don't know. They haven't been that the last couple of years. So we'll see. I have really tremendous high upside for what Monroe Freeling could be at left tackle. I like Drew Bobo, the center that they're going to have this year. He'll never be a top 90 evaluation ever in any simulation of his football career. But he's going to be a great college offensive lineman and a great college center. We'll see what they can do at guard. Micah Morris has been playing a long time for these guys as a spot player. We'll see what he looks like as a full-time starter this year, guys. But in terms of, I heard you guys earlier talking about they feel like they're flying under the radar. The doubts about Georgia this year are very obvious. It's about the quarterback. Nobody thinks right now Gunnar Stockton is a preseason, this is going to be an elite one. We're waiting to see what it's going to look like. And as someone who studies it really, really well, I'm waiting too. I'm waiting to see what the full offense that they're going to build for this guy is going to look like, because I saw spurts of it in the spring game in person, and I think it's going to be really explosive and downfield based with a heavy run game.
The team rallied around him at SEC Championship.
Yeah.
When he came out in the second half, they loved him. The juice in the building changed. Why do you think he's so loved by his teammates there, and does that help lift him up?
Man, I've been trying to figure this one out since the kid was like 17. He played on a very prominent 7-on-7 group here in Atlanta called Hustle Inc., okay? And Hustle Inc. during COVID, when they were juniors going into their senior year, was a big time for 7-on-7. You couldn't really do anything around here but play 7-on-7. So, like, all the best players in Metro Atlanta that Georgia was recruiting, Oscar Delp, Denial Morissette, Kojo Antwi, every guy here in the Metro Atlanta area was playing for that team. And you go talk to those guys and you say, man, like, who's your favorite quarterback that you ever played with? All of them with a smile on their face. Gunnar Stockton. This is like this little, like he's 6'1", 225-pound guy from Rabun County, Georgia. It's up in the foothills and the mountains in Northeast Georgia, very away from Metro Atlanta. And all of the kids gravitated to this guy, and I couldn't figure it out. I go out to the Adidas All-American game right before he enrolls at Georgia, and all those dudes They're like, hey, who's your favorite quarterback out here today? All with a smile on their face. Man, I really rock with Gunnar Stockton. What is it about the guy? I don't know. But every person to a man says he's genuinely just a great person, that everybody likes him. And I think that does matter in college football. Like when you get to the NFL, man, you got to be big enough, fast enough, strong enough, make the throws, make the right decisions. In college football, you got to elevate the other 10 guys in the huddle every single down to play a little bit harder. That matters. You win in the margins in this sport.
Brooks Austin is with us on the Alexander Shinara Trial Attorneys Hotline at Brooks Austin BA. If you want to follow him on social media, go watch all his work there. The Film Guy on YouTube as well. Would you qualify the Zachariah Branch move as they know they can unlock? We were just talking about it with Lance. That first game at USC, he was incredible. They never got that again from him at USC. Do you think Georgia coaches know they can unlock that or hope they can unlock that?
Man, I saw, so I think he had like 400 or 500 yards last year at USC. And we know what the freshman first 6 or 7 games were. It was electric with the ball in his hands. But last year, I felt like a lot of people felt it was disappointing. I went and watched it on tape, man, and there were some drops. There's a problem with catch radius. He's not a very large human being. We all know that. So you kind of got to put it on him. But he doesn't have droppy hands. Like, he doesn't drop the football. But if you put it, outside of his frame, he's not big enough and long enough to go make plays. So they were struggling with some problems like that. But I saw moments on tape last year where Lincoln was trying to cut the throats of defenses with Zachariah Branch. They just couldn't quite get it on the same page with a variety of quarterbacks being both Miller Moss and Jaden Maeva. So I am a little bit more bullish on what Zachariah Branch ultimately is because I know what his skill set is with the ball in his hands. And I think that's the only reason Georgia brought him in, right? To give him some of these underneath, opportunities to get the ball now and go make things happen in space with the ball in your hands. Some things that they've really lacked the last several years in that underneath screen game, to be honest with you. They didn't really have a dynamic playmaker. Their best ball in the hand weapon last year was Dylan Bell, and he led the team in drops. So they needed a better, more dynamic weapon at that position to pair with some of these bigger, longer targets that they added and got back in the form of Colby Young.
Former Georgia quarterback Carson Beck now goes to Miami. Miami last year led college football in points per game. They had the number 1 overall pick in Cam Ward, but they lose 3 or 4 down the stretch. How different is Carson Beck going to be? Do you think it's a good fit? Ultimately, how do you think it plays out?
Man, I feel like I get more Carson Beck questions leading up to this season than anything else. I get asked more about Carson than I do about Gunnar right about now. And it's my take on this, okay? I think right now, through 27 starts as a college football quarterback, Carson Beck is one of the best facilitators that there is. 6'5", 225 pounds. If the options around him are winning, by God, the offense is going to be winning because he's deadly accurate. He makes good decisions. But are you an elevator? Like, can you take things around you that are crumbling and make them whole? There is no doubt about it. Watch Miami football last year. Cam Ward was an elevator. He was the definition of it. Made plays consistently throughout football games when their team was crumbling around them. Some of his decision-making led to some of that. But nonetheless, Carson Beck has missed that. We saw that in 2023. They had great parts around him. They led the nation in conversion percentage on third down. He was a 72.4% completion percentage, did not turn the ball over at a high rate. You lose Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers in 2024, and it's a stern drop-off. Everybody around you drops off dramatically. So what do you have around you this year at Miami? I would argue the parts around Cam Ward significantly better than what they are right now around Carson Beck. Add on to that, guys, we just now going to start throwing footballs competitively with our teammates that we just got to get used to. And by the way, ain't no stroll in the park. We open with Notre Dame. So it's a lot of, look, if Carson defies all of those things right there, take that guy inside the top 15. I'm telling you, because there is a lot that he's going to have to overcome to have a 4,200-yard season, to have a Cam Ward-esque, we step in, offense looks great at Miami. If he does all of that, take him with the clout that we thought he had leaving 2023, because he would have solved all of the question marks I have about him from an elevation standpoint. Do we bring this guy in and he immediately makes us whole?
Nobody watches more tape than the film guy. So I'll ask you, do I need to adjust what I expect from a Southeastern Conference rushing attack on a week in and week out basis? Because I'm always judging running games by what I saw with Alabama in their heyday and early on with Georgia and Kirby over there. That, man, if it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, we're going to run it. We can get it. And it hasn't been that way at Alabama since Bryce Young took over, maybe even back to Tua almost, but definitely with Bryce. And it didn't seem that way with Georgia last year. Do I need to adjust my thinking of what a good SEC rushing attack looks like?
So I think the ability to really absorb all of the line of scrimmage talent like we used to have back in the day, where we're 12 deep with 4 and 5 stars at Alabama, at Georgia, at LSU. Those days just don't exist anymore because talent disparities all across. We're just dispersing talent clear across the country, so teams are thinner, rosters are thinner, so that domination late in the season I just don't think is going to exist. But I'm going to tell you what, as long as Josh Heupel's in this conference, Tennessee going to run the hell up out the rock by nature. That's what they do. They're going to, even if it feels like they cheat the scheme a little bit, they are going to run the ball really, really well. Missouri, speaking of cheating the scheme a little bit, Missouri cuts more backside defenders than anybody I've seen in SEC football in the last decade. I'm talking about ankles and knees is what they're hunting on the backside with tackles. Nobody else does it. Everybody else stays up. Everybody else plays on their feet like good athletes. Missouri's out here biting kneecaps and ankles on the backside, but it creates massive lanes in that wide zone running scheme. I think Texas is going to run the football really, really well under Sarkisian by nature and by pure, I'm going to run my head into the wall because that's what we have to do. That's what their system's based off of, the play action aspect off of the run game. But I expect Georgia to return back to being able to run the football a little bit better this year, back to standards, if you will, because their quarterback's actually going to require people to be disciplined on the backside. Those backside defensive ends and backside linebackers that make the big plays not happen because they're able to run the plays down, those guys have been able to just run unevaded to the ball carrier the last 2 years at Georgia because they knew, hey, 15's a decent athlete, but we ain't got to worry about him keeping it out of the back on 3rd and 4, extending a drive. He's definitely giving this ball off, so everybody just hunts the football. I think some of that stuff's going to improve, but in terms of we just going to run it 50 times a day and we're going to win national titles, no, that's of a bygone era.
The Film Guy Network on YouTube is where you get breakdowns like that and more extensive breakdowns. Brooks Alston is the guy that does it. He's with us on the Alexander Shinora Trial Attorneys Hotline. Give me a guy that jumps off film that we're not talking about. Who's a guy that you've watched and you're like, every time I look at film, this guy jumps off to me?
I mean, it's Lenoris Sellers. For me, I just got done watching the Clemson game, which arguably was his worst passing effort. I think Peter Woods has offseason nightmares of Lenoris. Peter Woods is a great football player. I think he's gonna be one of the best defensive linemen in college football this year. He was stuck. I know we're on audio for some. He was stuck with his legs just hanging out. Whoa, where's he going? For 4 quarters against South Carolina last year. Couldn't even get a hand on Lenoris. And then Lenoris gets into open field, and it's clear that defensive backs, they're oh my God, I can't hit this guy. He's a quarterback, but I better hit this guy because he's 245 pounds. What do I do? And then you watch him week 1 and you watch him week 12, and just his decision-making and not making bad ones, putting the ball at risk at fewer opportunities. Tremendous growth on a tremendous athlete. I don't think there's ever going to be a super talented thrower of the football in there just because the motion's a little funky. But my God, the horsepower that guy can play the football game with, it's awesome. I'm excited to watch that this year. And I'm excited to see the growth from Nuss. I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Arch. There's a lot that I'm watching. I know Auburn's going to turn it over, but can Jackson Arnold mythically not do it? I don't know. We're going to find out.
Brooks Alston, BA on social media, the Film Guy Network on YouTube. Go follow him, set your alerts, subscribe. Everything we ask you to do for us, give him a thumbs up just like you do for us. Brooks, it is always fun, my man. Thank you very much for the time.
No doubt. You ask me an open-ended question like that, my ADD brain going to go bing, 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 all over different names.
I know.
We'll
I
see
love
you,
it.
boys.
That fits right in on this show. Yeah, man. We'll see you soon.